today I thought of doing a ownership review of one of the most underrated twin flash systems that is there in the market. Originally, the twin flash that was very popular was the Canon MT24EX, but not all use Canon. That is part one, and in the other part was that the MT24 is just way too costly. Those who do macro photography and those who follow the latest news, so they would have seen that Canon has released a new version, which is the MT26. That is a more upgraded version where you have 1x5 112 wireless shooting apparently, and some more number of GN. So that is the MT24 was 24 GN rated, so the MT26 is 26. But then almost at a price of $1,000, it is just outside of the bracket of many budget macro shooters. For long, when I started back in 2006, my macro photography, so at that time twin flash was just the M224, and then there was some, I think, for Olympus or something. But as a budget twin flash alternative, I don't think there was anything much of a choice. When I purchased the MP in 2012, I still didn't think of having a twin flash because I was still working out how to use a single flash in all my photos, whether it was with the Raynox or it was with the MP back when I started the macro photography after I purchased the MP. So while I was designing the new diffusers or something, I stopped at a particular point and I realized, okay, so there is one type of setup which was working with me. So I'll show you that setup, and I have written that before in one of my Facebook posts, how I used a single flash and what system I was using to diffuse light when I was using with the MP and the Raynox. So my motive when I started using that rig is I wanted a system which was adaptable even for the MPE or for the Raynox or for the 100mm. Otherwise, what is going to happen is your diffusion system will work for the MPE but may not work for the Raynox, or your diffusion may work for the Raynox but not for the MPE. There are various problems in how a particular diffuser can work for one but not work for the other. Say for example, your Raynox is just a clip-on lens that attaches to your main macro lens or your telephoto lens, however you're using it. But your MP is sort of a twist to focus lens, so you twist the lens in order to increase the magnification. The problem is that if you use a flash which is just sitting on your hot shoe, and when the MP is extended to 3x or 4x, when the light is going to pass down, it is going to create a shadow in front of your subject from the light that is going to come out from the flash. So that is a very big problem when you're doing high magnification photography. In terms of Raynox, that is not the case because Raynox is just this small diopter that you attach. So it's not going to create much of a shadow. So nobody takes this point into consideration when they are shifting from Raynox to an MPE, because they think that if the diffuser is going to work for Raynox, it is going to work for the MPE, so which is not the case. So I will show you what I was using, the rig that I was using before I bought the twin flash. So it was this particular rig, and the moment you can see, I think you will say that okay, this is just one big sort of a paperweight system where everything is just looks heavy. Well, it is heavy. So this I have attached the 100mm on my defunct 550D, which I don't use anymore. It still works, but the screen does not work anymore because of rain went inside it and just corrupted the display and the viewfinder both. So this part you can see that this is a flash bracket. So this flash bracket is a custom CB Mini RC bracket. So this is a one-piece aluminum bracket which attaches to your tripod mount here, and the other part extends out. So you have sort of a Y shape and an extruding part where it comes out and the base sits on your camera. This is a normal friction arm that you can get on Amazon or eBay now. This is very popular and very easy to find. This I think is a 11 inch, so you get two. So one is 7 inch and one is 11 inch. I think I got the 11 inch that time. And what it does is you just attach this friction arm to the bracket here, and you are attaching a receiver and a transmitter. So now if you're using the latest young new ones, all will be trans receivers. So there will be one and the same, and the flash sits on top. So the softbox that is attached is the LumiQuest softbox 3. This is a big softbox. So in LumiQuest, I think you have three options. One is the normal LumiQuest, which is a small one. One is LumiQuest 2, which is a medium, and the 3 is a very big one. I think there is one more which is called LTP, but that's just way big for doing macro photography. The advantage at that time when I was using this rig particular one is that if I loosen the friction arm, there were two things happening. One is that the friction arm again will get very loose the second I unscrew the holder here, and then I can move it. So however I want the light to be, so I can have light here, I can have here, I can have it here, I can have it just touching at the tip of the lens. I can have anywhere I want it. This is a big advantage when you're doing more than 1:1 macro photography, particularly with Raynox or particularly with DMP, where you don't want the shadow to come in your photos when you're taking say above 2x or 3x. So in the case of MP, just imagine that if this was the 100 mm, so just MP, so if I twisted, I could still put the flash way ahead and the light will fall off on the subject directly. So it will not fall, the light will not come from here and then just start to fall off. It will be sitting at this point. At that time it was an advantage, but the big disadvantage I still feel, and that's why I moved on to a tin flash, is the weight. This is a little bit heavy in terms of using in the field. You will get to use it, you'll get used to the weight once you know how to handle the rig like this, and this will give you certain advantages that people generally put just the flash on the hot shoe and just put a diffuser and try to push their entire system for getting the most light, but they don't understand where the light is falling off, and then they'll start to increase the ISO and they'll start to push down the aperture, doing everything. So your photo will be there, it will look good on Facebook, but when you start to zoom in, you'll see that there is it is not sharp, the light is not correct, there is instant fall off, you have light coming in on the background which you don't want. So this was a system that I was using till 2015, and when Venus or Kyongrang, how they call it, they launched the KX-800, so I was instantly attracted to it and I thought that okay, I'm going to buy this flash. So I'll come to that flash now, which is this. So this is the KX-800, and when you saw that rig and now you're seeing this flash, you will see okay, now this is a very compact system that I'm using now. The main three things that are there in this twin flash is, the unique point that I'll say is the flash heads are attached to your gorilla type of legs. So this is the one that you can instantly mold it and keep it as how wherever you want it, and they are going to stay as it is. With that, they also gave you a modeling lamp. So this is the modeling lamp, and this also has a gooseneck, so which is also tight, so you can have it here, you can have it there, wherever you want it, however you want to place the light. This modeling lamp helps you a lot when you're doing high magnification photography, whether it is with Raynox, whether it is with reverse lens, whether it is with extension tubes. You are going to require modeling light when you're doing high magnification. These are the two heads that give the light, and these two heads can be controlled in a ratio, so you can have this running at full power 1:1, and this you can run it at say 1:4 or 1:64, your choice. The advantage of doing a ratio is that if you're putting, say, this flash uh, is lighting your subject at 1:1, your face may have a full light, but then you just want a tinge of light for the wings of that subject. So you don't want this flash also to work at 1:1. You want this head to work at a lower intensity, so that it will just give you a sheen on that wings. And this is where that 1:164 is going to help you a lot. The back of it is just a disclosure is that this is one of the first models that they release. So the ones that they are now providing will have the LCD here, but mine is not the non-LCD one. So sorry, it's the non-LCD one. This one you will see is you just have sort of LED lights which tell you the power, the light range, and how many steps you can go. So it starts from 1:128 and goes up till 1:1 for both the heads, and you can play in any ratio that you want. Then you have so these two buttons, so 1, 2, 3 and 4, these buttons are controlling the left head, and these two buttons are controlling the right head. These four buttons are there, so the one in the middle just mostly doesn't do anything. The left and the right, these two buttons shut down either head. So when you press the left head will not fire, and when you press the right button, the right head will not fire. The up and down keys, these keys are going to control how much intensity you want for the modeling light. So mind you, unlike the Yongnuo 24EX, in your Venus KX-800 you have multiple points of intensity of modeling light that you want on the subject. So that is a very big advantage in terms of how much light you want. In the Yongnuo YN24EX, if I remember it correctly, there are just two modes. One is just super bright and one is just bright. But you can't control in minuscule amounts of, okay, you want this light or this much, or it's getting too bright or it's too dark. So this is a very big advantage in the KX-800. And at this highest intensity, the light is going to also come into your photo because it's just way too bright. However, the Yongnuo 24EX modeling lights are placed in a very good position on the heads itself. So unlike the KX-800, the Yongnuo modeling lights are placed exactly over and above your head. This is a very big advantage for people who want to understand where the light is going to fall, because you have first-hand live demonstration. Okay, your light is going to fall on the wings, or your light is going to fall on the eye, or your light is going to fall on the leaf. That is where in the field you can instantly change your light variation, and you can have a photo which is going to be unique versus a photo that is just common. The main advantage of this flash, I'll say again, is how the heads are on your gorilla legs. So if I extend this to the top, you can see the reach of your head. So these are just way too long, and it helps. It renox whether your subject is very far or your subject is very near. When you're using the MPE, when you're using Raynox, reverse lens, whatever you want, you can have this flash with you. The other advantage of having such long arms, which I observed when I was in Goa during a macro expedition, we were a group of people taking photos of hump-nosed snake, and all the people were surrounding that snake. But because this flash takes space when you're taking any photos with anybody else, so I had to stand back to make other people take photos and not intrude their space. The advantage of this flash was that I could just point this out, and while I was standing back, the flash was lighting the subject, and I could take some record photos of that snake before it went away. So it's not something that the legs which are this long are just going to hamper your situation when you're taking photos. I am using this flash from 2015, and I've got used to this flash. and there's some birds say that this flash makes not of noise. So now you're seeing in the video that this will make a noise, so like this or like this. So when you're adjusting your flash in the field, yes, it can hamper your subjects in the sense that they will run away. But if you just make certain movements like this, which will create this squeaking noise, they are going to run away because you're startling them and they're not expecting something like this big to come in front of them. So people who use this flash they don't want to understand how to use this flash. They are used to flashes which are just sitting on your hot shoe or something like the Yongnuo or the MT24EX, where you just clip that entire flash on the lens, or a ring light, you clip it on the lens and then it is going to fire. This requires another style of mastery to work really well. Otherwise, this flash, frankly speaking, is a waste in the gear that you may have for macro. Many people who ask me whether should I buy the KX-800 or the Yongnuo, so I generally say that this flash now costs around $300. The Yongnuo costs around say $165. So if you're on a budget, then yes, you should buy the Yongnuo because it is going to do the job for you. It is a twin flash system. It is also rated high in terms of intensity of the light. Its modeling lamp is fantastic, and I have seen it on the field. In pitch dark, you can light your subjects with its modeling lights, and you will never miss a shot of that. So I can guarantee you for the Yongnuo part in that. The problem that many people are telling me, those who use the Yongnuo, is the twin flash may or may not work with full frame cameras. So recently, my friend who owns full frame and the Yongnuo, and he owns also a 70D, which is a crop camera. The Yongnuo was working on the 70D, but it did not work on the Mark III. So that can be a hindrance if you're using full frame, because if you're taking the Yongnuo and you want to use the TTL function and it does not work on the Mark III or full frame cameras, then I don't know what's the point of taking a TTL camera and not having the TTL functionality on your full frame cameras. So for crop your people who use 80D, 70D on that range, yes, the Yongnuo is going to work. But for full frame, I think you should do some tests with those people who already own the Yongnuo and then purchase it, rather than, okay, I just want to purchase it, so I'm going to purchase it. Test that test that flash on your camera, and then make sure that it works on your own, and then do the purchase. The Venus one is a non-TTL flash, so it does not have any TTL capability whatsoever. It's just one single central pin that sits on your hot shoe and it's going to fire. This flash is rated at very high intensity, so I'll write that in the description because I don't want to blabber out something and then I may be wrong in that. If I am right, it's around 56 at 100 meters, but I'll confirm and put that in the description. I have used this flash in torrential rains in the monsoon season. So those who have visited Amboli, those who have visited Agumbe, and those who have or may not have visited the jungles of Goa, you may understand the level and the intensity of rain that happens in those areas. Especially in Agumbe and in Amboli, it just rains cats and dogs. So the definition of cats and dogs maybe is coming from there. So I first used this flash in Amboli and without this covering, and it did survive those torrential rains. In one or two cases, one of the heads did not fire, but after the moisture was taken out, the flash was working perfectly. The build quality of it is like a tank, so it is heavy, and I have used this anywhere and everywhere. The flash has fallen from my hands, it has fallen while taking photos. Anything and anything can happen, and it has survived all my brutal tests, that I will personally say. So it is an excellent build. Yes, there were cases where people who had the KX-800 either the gorilla legs, the gorilla, I'll say legs, or extensions, they became loose. So if I do like this, and the flash usually should sit here as it is, but because they were loose, it used to come down here. Over time, the legs make it get a little loose. So particularly I'm observing for this left hand side of that gorilla legs and the head, this part is little has become a little bit loose, but it's not something that if I put it here it's going to sag down and just come back here. It is going to stay, but this part is a little bit loose, so I just have to be sure that I'm not stressing this part a lot. This part is perfectly fine, so I don't have any issue. The flash runs on 4A batteries, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I usually use N loops for when I'm using this flash, and I think majorly all people now who do macro photography in the field use N loops. By my observation, a fresh charge of N loops can give you anywhere around in the range of 200 to 300 photos, and it depends on the intensity of the light that you're using. So you may not have 200 photos if you're constantly using the light at 1:1 for both the heads, and it will be just way too bright. So I usually have observed that my usage is around 200 to 300. It can go up and it can also go down. So that is a very fluctuating matter, and I'm just trying to see if I can push this flash harder. The other day when I was going through Facebook, and I saw Nikki Bay's post where he has started an online shop. In that discussion, a fellow member said that you can also attach an external power supply to the KX-800, which is of the Godox ones. I'll also confirm that and put it in the description. Yes, that extra power bank is going to be heavy, but the person who said that it can work just puts it in his backpack and then connects to the flash. So this can have a lot of advantages where you're working and you don't have electricity. Particularly when I went to Agumbe, I had to be sure to carry extra set of batteries because there was no recharging station a plug that I could put my batteries and recharge it. That can be a hindrance if you're taking a lot of photos and you don't have a recharging point. So coming to say the problems with this flash, I think the main problem is this screw system that is there to lock the flash. So when you're using this, I don't know how the design is, so you have to really tighten it on the hot shoe of the camera, otherwise you feel that you have tightened it, but it does not. And there are a lot of times where the flash was like this and I'm trying to take a photo and it just slips and falls out. So those people who are using this flash and who are new to this flash, just be sure to keep your thumb or something at this part so that it does not fall off, and if it does, just pause and take out that flash, retwist it and lock it. Otherwise you may feel that it is tight, but it can slip off that hot shoe point and the flash will not trigger, and it has happened with me. So that's a tip that I'm giving you. The other, I'll not say it's a disadvantage, I'll say it's just a small hindrance which people can at times exaggerate to a disadvantage, is of the noise. I have seen people who have taken this flash for testing. They went in the field, they tried to manipulate the light to however they want, and because of the noise or something, the insects flew away or something else happened. So when I said before, you have to have some patience in order to use this flash properly. This noise is going to be a hindrance, it's not a disadvantage, it's a hindrance when you're doing photography. But as you start to make adjustments to your own style, how you want to take a photo, you can overcome this hindrance. So if you are there on a subject and you know that you want to change the light, you can just back up a little, make subtle change and then come back. So if your flash is like this and suddenly you want to make it like this action itself is going to startle that insect and it is going to run away. So I think it's more of those who have just used this for say 2 or 3 times and then felt that okay, this is I can't do this, because you have to have some level of patience when you're using a system like this. This is not something like a Yongnuo or M24 that you're just going to clip it and it's going to work. You have to be sure how you're going to position this light and how much you want the light to extend. The other hindrance is you require space when you're using this flash. So I'll just attach this flash to the camera and I'll show what I mean. So now you can see that the flash is attached to my ATD and the MP is sitting here, and instantly you can see that both the heads are at the tip of the lens. So even if I start to extend the MP, so right now I'm at 3x, I can push the light to the tip. So the hindrance that I was saying before is you require space. So is this entire part. So when you're coming to in the field and when you're approaching a subject, these two require some space, and you have to see where you can accommodate yourself when you're taking photos. Unlike that earlier rig or unlike any other style, you can just go in cramped space and take photos, but this can take up space and can be a hindrance. So this can push off other leaves, can disturb the insects. So it's not something main of a disadvantage, it's going to be a hindrance, and then you can see how you can overcome it. So using this flash for the past 2 years now, I know where I can take photos in cramped spaces and where I know okay, it's not going to happen, so it's not going to happen. People have also told me that okay, you're missing shots because of this setup, but the sheer advantage of placing my light anywhere and everywhere and having my other hand free in order to hold the leaf or in order to manipulate or do something, I think that is more of an advantage than having this squeaky noise or having a personal space issue. Weight, yes, with the batteries and if you're using the MP, it is a bit heavy, and the moment you put both the heads up front and you push it, so it is going to take a toll on your hand. This is where I think the Yongnuo also squares a little bit front in terms of it, because it is a lightweight and it just sits on your lens. This can be heavy in terms of weight. So those people who have any wrist issues or hand issues or weight issues, I don't think this flash can be for them. So you have to be sure that you can use this flash for extended periods of time when you're in the field, because using this flash or just say for a walk that you go with any group, whether it is on Facebook or whether it is well known, versus when you're doing a proper say 4 hours or 5 hours of continuous walk in the jungle with heavy rain and you're sweating out, that is where your weight is going to differ. So understand the fact that you're taking photos in a park is not the same as taking photos in the jungle, because you have a lot of variations that is happening in the jungle. You're getting tired if you don't get subjects, you get frustrated if you're sweating a lot, and you must be ready with your camera all the time. So all these things, if you are not patient enough to accommodate all these factors, then I will not recommend this flash to you, because it adds weight to your hand. It is a pain, and that thing can then multiply into something. So you're just going to get bored in taking macro photos. So I think for that I'll just say to go to the Yongnuo, because I think it is lighter and can be and this personal space can't be an issue. The I think one more hindrance in terms of the flash is the modeling lamp. The modeling lamp at times can be a little bit dark, but as I said before, it is very bright. and it can come in the exposure. So there were issues where uh, the one step was dark and the other step was bright, but that bright was then coming in the exposure. So some small things are, if I have to nitpick, one of the issues, so it's this. But other than that, the main advantage I always find is however I can manipulate the arms of the flash as I wanted. One of the main things of this flash is to design a proper diffuser, or say a system to have two diffusers to work. Now, if you observe the review of Thomas Shea, and so because he shoots a lot of spiders and everything, he had a paper here on the lens and the light was behind, and the light was falling on the paper, and then you had uniform system of light. If you're doing any photography where you need uniform light, so whether it is for frogs, whether it is for spiders, or whether it is for, say, snakes, where you want one uniform light source in the eye, so you will require your flash diffusers to work in uniformity. So you don't want separate box type of lights that are going to happen. I don't use that system because I want on the fly adjustments of light. So if I say I want to light the left from the front, but I want a backlit for the wings, I can just position the light here, and then I can have a different style of lighting. I can have like up, down, however I want it. So in this case, I first started with the diffusers, which were like homemade. So I'll just show you that, which were this. So this diffuser was sitting on the head here, and those who know me on Facebook, I have that photo in my featured photos where I'm using this diffuser, and these diffusers were working good when I started with this flash. But as I progressed through the experience of using this flash, these diffusers also started to make a hindrance. Especially they were a hindrance when I was using the MPE, because when you're very near of the subject, this is just way too big, and they were causing some sort of personal space issue with the subjects, and even with how I was approaching the subjects. For the time being, to overcome that part, I used this, so which is a pop-up diffuser that you can get on Amazon, say for $200. So I used to put that over here, and with the MP I was using this particular diffuser. So this reduced a lot of space that was required, so I could just zoom in at 3x and push the light here, and at the tip of that light I could have taken photos. So this was also working good for some time, but I started to realize even this had particular issues. That is when I told my friend who was coming from UK that Lava had their own UK shop, and they were selling diffusers for the Venus. So then I went and bought the original cutouts, the diffusers which are official Kyongring or Lava ones. So this is a small diffuser. This is the one, and this perfectly sits on the flash as it is, and this is a soft box with correct material, so that gives you enough light. And they also give you one extra piece of plastic diffuser, so if you feel that this is giving too much of light, you can put this inside and reduce the intensity of light that will come out. So I am now using this diffusers for all my macro photography, whether it is with the 100mm, with the Raynox, with the MP. These diffusers are 100% on the heads all the time. So I've done away with the DIY version, I've done away with the pop-up diffusers. I'm now 100% on these softbox ones. a tip if you're going to buy these is Lava gives you your velcro straps with the one so that you can attach it to the heads. Just staple them so that they don't fall off or they don't rip apart when you're pulling out the softbox from from the head. Otherwise, at beginning when I was doing that, the velcro straps used to come out, and then when you're in the field, there is a possibility that you may lose it. So it's better you staple it so that they don't fall off. Other thing, I think the advantage, and I found this by accident, is the flash can head also turns. So the head is also turnable. So it's not something that it's twisted and it's broken. It will turn, and the heads itself. So if your arm is like this, so it can twist however you want it. Generally, you can just have it, and it will stay wherever you want. At first I was a little bit afraid to do certain movements like this or this. So for new people or new owners of the Venus, just be sure that don't apply too much pressure, but apply pressure to move the arms. Because if you just start with very minute or light movements, it's not going to do anything. So you need a little bit of force to do it, and even to twist the heads you may have to use some force. So I think I have covered most aspects of the Venus KX-800. I hope you have enjoyed my ownership review, and if you have any further questions you can write in the comments and I'll be sure to answer them. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video.